Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's album review. So before we review the album, we actually have to make a choice as to which album we're going to listen to. So there was a request left in the comments section wanting us to listen to Genetikk. The only thing is the person who requested it, who was a Stuttgart fan, so big love from Werder Bremen.
Didn't respond back.
He didn't reply to my message though as to which album he wanted to listen to. He said there was a choice of two, so because he didn't reply back, we're going to do a virtual coin toss. So we've got a choice between Voodoo Circus and D.N.A. So D.N.A. is the main one in terms of how it did in the charts. It was #1 in the German charts, 4th in Austria, 5th in the Swiss charts, whereas Voodoo Circus, so let me just share the screen with you so you can see that. Sorry, there we go. So as you can see here, D.N.A, 1st in Germany, 4th in Austria, 5th in Switzerland, did really well in terms of how it did, certifications and that, BVMI gold, over 100,000 sales in Germany, whereas Voodoo Circus only got to 70 in the Austrian charts, didn't even feature in the German or Swiss charts. And also on top of that, D.N.A, the one that's did really well, also actually features a friend of ours. Brett, can you guess who that is?
Is it Kollegah?
Yes, it is. Track number 8.
It was going to be a trick question. Okay.
Track number 8, we have Kollegah featured in the track, so that's pretty cool. So I'm kind of hoping we get this one rather than Voodoo Circus, but
knowing our luck, yeah.
The coin toss is what it is.
And it's also been a second D.N.A album as well. Not that it goes by anything, but
yeah, D.N.A 2. The only other thing I would say about this artist, don't know anything about him, but his genre is German hip hop. Whereas when you look at Kollegah, his is classed as what was it? It was rap. So there might be a bit of a difference here in terms of style of music, maybe. So it'd be quite interesting to kind of see what they're about. And it's a group, it's a hip hop group rather than just, like Kollegah on his own. So
that's funny. One of the members is called Kappa, like kit manufacturer.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing Kappa. Okay, so let's go and do the virtual coin toss.
So which is which then, Lee?
Yeah, so we'll do heads for Voodoo Circus, tails for D.N.A.
Okay, just make a note. Yeah.
Yeah, I've forgotten already. What did I say? It was...
heads is Voodoo, right. Tails is D.N.A.
Right, heads is Voodoo. It's tails, so it's D.N.A. This is the one we wanted, right? This is the good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got D.N.A.
Well, perceived it, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got 18 tracks to get through. It's a 53-minute long album released in 2013, one of their early albums. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this because we've kind of started to get into Kollegah. We're now moving away from Kollegah, but onto something quite similar, still sticking with Germany. I'm going to make an effort with the lyrics, really do the translating again to really understand what they're, whatever it is, singing about. Very interested in what kind of style it will be, how similar it will be to Kollegah, but at the same time, how different will it be? So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this, if I'm honest. What about you, Brett?
Yes, same as yourself there. It'd be quite interesting. Again, if I'm going to go for more just trying to listen to it without going too much in lyrics first to see musically what it's like, and then potentially look back at sort of the meaning and in depth, and yeah, the difference I think maybe with the hip hop to rap will be interesting to see. and it will be nice to see our friend Kollegah as well. See what he brings to the table. I presume it will be some rapping, probably hopefully some his classic fast style rapping will be nice to see there. But yeah, interesting one, very much so.
Yeah, so we are now going to go off and listen to the album over the next week. And once that's done, a future version of myself and Brett will be with you in just a few seconds, who will have already listened to the album and will tell you what they thought about it. So I'll pass you on to Future, Brett, and Lee. So they're going to come with you right about now. So thank you for passing me on. Lee in the past, it's now Lee in the present, to Brett in the present. So we have now listened to the album, D.N.A. by Genetikk. So we'll now go ahead and give our views on it. Now, I think first of all, we have been doing a lot of Kollegah. So I kind of want to say I probably will be doing quite a bit of comparison maybe throughout the album review here, you know, about Kollegah, the differences, similarities, what I prefer, what not. So yeah, I was looking forward to this one, and I would say it didn't disappoint in a way. What I would say in terms of the album, my kind of notes that I made, was that the artist himself, the guy who was doing all the vocals, the rapping, he seemed to feel very lonely, sort of detached from other people, which we'll look at later as we go through all the songs and all the lyrics. Seems to have a lot of resentment and hate towards people. I thought the music itself was quite interesting to listen to for various reasons. As I say, that we'll go into a bit later. There was one song that I really liked, and I have actually put this onto my playlist.
Whoa, oh, whoa, stop the press. Whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's the first time actually since we're doing all this German rap stuff, and I've never actually had that before where I've liked a song enough to actually put it onto my playlist. But I have found one. There were a few other kind of decent tracks, I thought. I'm going to probably put at the title of the video something like is Genetikk better than Kollegah?
Oh, I knew
to try to get some views. And I'm going to give you the answer at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. What I would say is that there's probably a little bit more variety than Kollegah in terms of the songs. I think we have to bear in mind that Kollegah is a rapper, whereas this is what was it called?
Hip hop.
Hip hop. I didn't really know what the difference was. I did check it out on Google. I think the best kind of description I found was that with rap, it's all about the lyrics, punchlines and stuff like that. Where with hip hop, you get the rap, of course, but it's more kind of about the music, the beat. It's probably the best kind of definition or difference I could find between the two. What I would probably say again, comparing it to Kollegah, was that sometimes a kind of a song broke out in terms of like a proper actual song in certain parts of the album, whereas with Kollegah it is just kind of hardcore rap. But again, like I say, I'll talk more about that at the end as to which I preferred. So yeah, that's kind of all from me. So Brett, over to you.
Yeah, listen, I'm conscious to know there's a lot of songs we're going to be going through, so I'll try not to say too much, but there was a lot of what you said there, which I would echo as the same. And again, didn't really want to compare it with Kollegah, but it's hard not to, and especially in our situation with our limits in German music and German rap and hip hop, and obviously there is a difference between the two there, which you explained quite well. Again, if we are going to answer those questions, I'll answer my ones at the end as well. And yeah, I found this one really interesting, and I think it could easily, where you may, I don't know if you've seen images of what the guys look like, especially the main guy, their appearance and what they're all about. You would probably feel there'd be a lot more similarities to Kollegah than there was, and actually it was quite different in many different ways. I think as we go through the songs, we will potentially go through that. And yeah, I think the key point you said there is a bit more variety with Genetikk in this album. The difference in the lyrics and what they talk about, what they sing about as well. Really interesting and key. And I can't remember the point you made as well. Maybe we'll come back to me as we're going through, but I did sort of agree with a lot of you said there. So maybe it might be easy to just go straight into the songs and see where we get to.
Okay, so the first one's an interesting one. Intro. I was trying to find it online, and I was getting really annoyed because all the lyrics for all the songs were coming up, but not intro. It was like blank. I thought, okay, maybe there's no words in it. It's an instrumental. So I started listening to it, but then there were words. So I thought, hang on, what's going on here? And I realised I was listening to Kollegah. It was the previous album we'd reviewed. It hadn't moved on to this album. So it turns out everything was okay. There were no words. It was just an instrumental. Yeah, but it was all right. It was just it's kind of what you expect from an intro, to be fair. It's kind of what I want to hear. I just want to hear a bit of kind of just instrumental to get us started. So I've got no issues with that.
Yeah, it's funny because we always joke, because obviously Kollegah always does a lot of intros on his songs, but it's pretty much a regular song in some regards. And to me, if you're going to label it as an intro, it should either just be like this, instrumental, or talking, or even if it is a song, short, it's something a little bit different, so to speak. Otherwise, why not just have it as a normal song? But yeah, I really like this. Nice way to sort of come into the album. I was thinking, oh, okay, this could be quite intriguing. And I should just say, so what I did first, I didn't have that mistake as Lee had. Did listen all the way through the album just to get a feel of it, and then I went back to look at lyrics, and so I do want the lyrics to influence how I was listening to the song.
Okay. So the next one was species. I guess it probably means species. So what I kind of got from this, the meaning of it, basically about feeling different as a child, like being the odd one out. And I think it was a lot of talk about sort of aliens and stuff, but I think that was the general meaning, just feeling different as a child. I don't know if Brett agrees with me or not. He'll tell us in a moment. The line I took from that, sort of my sort of favorite line, was "War nie wirklich zu Haus bei der Spezies namens Mensch," which means was never really at home with the species called human. So it kind of goes to show what I'm trying to say here, with the meaning that kind of never really understood like what other humans kind of thing. Like you always feel like an alien from another planet. And as for the song itself, interesting, it was like a continuation of the introduction. It was the same music continuing through. Surprisingly clean language in this track. I was like, okay, I've kind of listened to a lot of Kollegah, so I was expecting, a lot of swearing, but I don't think I found any in this song. It was a sort of nice classical opera music, I guess you could call it, at the end of it as well. Yeah, not a bad start, really.
Yeah, so again, a lot of the stuff that you said there as well. Really quite like this one, actually. So it was a different take, and it's really unusual for my persona to feel like, like a rap hip hop, talking about almost like insecurities or being different, and also mentions about, being space from different planets, which again is a very, to me, unusual thing in hip hop sort of rap to be listened to. So I found that a really nice twist, and it does follow through to the rest of the album as well. Again, good tempo, sounded quite nice. But again, there was a strange thing where listeners are going, it's really weird seeing this German music because it feels very, I suppose on another track, very American. It's very hip hop American style, but in German, and a bit different there. So Yeah, a real sort of interested side. Again, like you really enjoyed the classical voices and music at the end. So yeah, put a nice little smiley face next to this one.
Okay, the next one was Yes Sir. In terms of the meaning, what I understood from it, I guess it was sort of like about Genetikk being back, like he's back for another album kind of thing. I actually put in brackets, this could have been the intro. It's almost like an intro kind of song as well. Like we talked about earlier, an intro should be, well, what you think maybe should be like just a bit of instrumental, or if it's going to be like a proper song, at least make it about this kind of thing, like being back, you know, like for an album. But the line I took from it was, Ich hab während der Schwangerschaft Mama in den Bauch getreten, denn ich wollte so schnell wie möglich raus, mein Traum zu leben. I kicked mom in the stomach during pregnancy because I want to get out as soon as possible to live my dream. So yeah, interesting how he sort of wanted to, you know, become famous, live his dream, and wanted to get out into the world as soon as possible. As for the music itself, the song itself, I didn't like it, I'll be honest. I thought this was more like a proper hip hop track compared to the previous track. It just felt more sort of typical, almost like American style hip hop, obviously in German.
Yeah, so again, when I was listening through, because obviously it was an English title, I was maybe hoping to pick up, like with some of the past Kollegah tracks, a bit of English from that, but there wasn't. I think I heard Bitch maybe, or yeah, oh yes, sir. Obviously the title of the song I picked up there as well. And like you, very hip hop. This is felt very American sort of hip hop there. And the lyric I took from this one was "Lucy in the sky with diamonds," and I fly off to her to grab the little ones. So I think referring to those diamonds there. But obviously, just because it was a Beatles influence there, and there's actually another sort of Beatles influence bit I picked up from there. I just thought it was a bit, again, unusual, you know, to have on a hip hop. I know it sounds very hip hop, to have sort of a reference to the Beatles.
So sorry, I'm not familiar. Well, I am familiar with the Beatles, but I'm not a big fan like you are, and maybe some of our viewers aren't. So what exactly was it? Was it a lyric that's from the Beatles?
Yeah, so they mentioned about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So the Beatles had a song called Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is very distinctive. There's not many like that. I think with the Beatles songs, well, I think because there's a lot of talk where there's a lot of sort of drugs, there's all that sort of stage. You didn't like the Beatles, they're sort of psychedelic. So it could be in reference to drugs in some regards, this particular one, which I think this particular song was also quite drug heavy. So I think there was an influence on that there. I just thought it's the lyric that sort of picked up for me there.
Okay. The next one was Packets in den Boots. I'll be honest, I was struggling to understand the meaning of this. So I'm hoping Brett can fill us in on what he thought that meant. I did find that a little bit, I found that the lyrics of these songs quite interesting. Some of them I found them to be a little, I found basically, if we compare it to Kollegah, I found the song meanings to be deeper in general than Kollegah. A little bit more complicated as well. So this one, for example, like I didn't really understand what it was about. Anyway, the line I took was Ich werd niemals 30, doch darauf scheiß ich. I'll never turn 30, but I don't give a shit about that. So kind of saying that I'm not going to live very long. I don't care. I'm going to have a lot of money, be very famous. If I die of drugs, or if I get shot, then so be it, kind of thing. Also, we've got to note that RZA from Wu-Tang Clan was rapping in English in this particular track. I describe it as a laid-back type of style for the song itself, quite chilled. It was okay-ish. Not my favourite, but it was all right.
Yeah, so in terms of lyric, I think it's right. I think it's definitely what I put here, but sort of having a much sort of deep meaning. I've almost put like the lyrics, I was going to say at the end, a lot more poetic. Found it could be poetry in some regards And I said it's so different to Kollegah, and I said it's harder. I think Kollegah's quite clear and obvious what he's trying to talk about. Was this is, you know, you can look at it in many different ways. So Paxton's book, I don't know what I was referring to, but I thought you may get a mention about Kollegah's song, Drugs and Them Jeans. I don't know if it's the same sort of thing. Yeah, but packets of drugs in your boots, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's a very dark lyrics, but very different at the same time. I said almost poetry essence there. I talked about, like, I think there's loads of we're talking about. I think this one here about, like, sort of the world being colourful, being happy and content, but then tell me why is there no peace in the world, which really sort of practically, you know, so much colour in the world, yet there's no peace. Really interesting, so very unusual to get us on this sort of album, I think.
Yeah. Maybe again, like in German, it makes a bit more sense, like in terms of the whole overall meaning. Just the translation wasn't always the best, but yeah, good. Okay, next one was D.N.A, which is obviously the name of the album, so no pressure. The meaning I got from this was sort of, again, about coming from another planet, crime and bling. The line I took was, "Is was strafbar, aber Hakuna Matata." So it's a criminal offense, but Hakuna Matata. Now, Hakuna Matata is from that character from, what's the name of it?
The Lion King.
From The Lion King. But I checked this out. Hakuna Matata has a meaning. Do you know what it means? Yeah,
it's sort of that's life, like no worries.
Yeah, it means no worries. So it's a criminal offense, but Hakuna Matata. So kind of no worries. So yeah, I like that. It's a nice thing. As for the song itself, I just put not bad. Not much to really talk about with this one. It was all right.
Yeah. So this one, especially when you say, I didn't write that lyric down, but I do remember seeing it. And I think there's a lot of other tracks where I would say it's quite a few sort of pop culture references. So either music or movie. I know Kollegah also did a couple of things as a movie as well, but seems a bit more distinctive in this one. Again, got the same sort of hip hop style. There wasn't much sort of change up there. And again, just really interesting to, you know, it's one thing about talking about being different. Even Kollegah talk about himself being different, but this whole sort of being from a different planet. So I think one of the words here, like, you know, say, encounters of the third kind were from a different planet. And then the other thing I wrote down here, my rap never changed me, my bank account did. Which again, it just has a real sort of poetic sort of feel to it. I just imagine Kollegah just saying that exact same line, but in a totally different way.
So the next one then was Triumph. It was about them kind of just doing what they want, don't give a shit, basically, you know. As for the line I took from it, Jungs, ich rappe nur, weil mich mein Jura-Studium unterfordert. So guys, I only rap because my law degree is too challenging for me. That made me laugh. Obviously, it's interesting because we talked about Kollegah playing a persona. I wonder, like, how true some of this stuff is, and how much of it's made up. Which again we can talk about a little bit later when some real sort of deep meaning songs a bit later on. I found the actual song itself a little bit disappointing, a little bit dull. Never really kind of got going for me, if I'm honest. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, again, I remember, like I said, it's interesting, this one. There's so many sort of lyrics I could have probably taken from things, or like I said, it wouldn't do it justice just taking little bits of it. You always have to have lots of it together. In terms of the song, though, the same sort of hip hop style. At times did feel a bit repetitive, but there were some better tuned ones there. But again, the lyrics wise, I took from this one, I'm so rap, I eat spaghetti with a tuning fork. I thought it was quite clever on words there, very good. And then German rap needs me. German rap needs a transplant. I'm the donor, which again I thought was quite again good. And I said there's been very little swearing, little aggression. It is almost trying to get his feelings and views across in words and music.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. The next one then was, it's actually funny you say that, because I checked, going a little bit off topic here, I'll just quickly say I did check some of his other albums, and a lot of them don't have the on Spotify, what do you call it, the explicit sign there.
The splitting sign.
Yeah, so he does have quite a few tracks that aren't explicit. Anyway, the next one is Champions. So I think the kind of names, the title speaks for itself. So it's about how successful they've become compared to the other guys in the hood, maybe the people they used to hang out with in the ghetto. So the line I took from here was, Aber Gramm wurden zu Grammys und ihr macht weiter Kilos. But grams become Grammys and you keep doing pounds. I really like that. So as I understood it, it's like the grams, so drug, in terms of drug use, grams of drugs become Grammys to them. Now they're winning Grammys, and you keep doing the pounds, as in pounds of drugs. The song itself, to me, was quite good. Not bad, that one.
Yeah, actually, I didn't take to an extent, but again, I vaguely remember that one there. So there's notes taken from that. But again, this is where we have a bit more sort of variety with sort of, I'm saying this one again, sort of a nice sort of relaxed tune feel. I quite like this one there. And again, it's interesting to hear about sort of being a champion. And again, the way it's sung in comparison to maybe someone else could be very different there. But yeah, so it's quite good, and again, really good with the wording in this song.
Okay, the next one was Alam Muerta featuring Kollegah, someone we know very well. So this is a Spanish song title. It means to the death. And it took me by surprise. They started like rapping in Spanish. But maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, because the title of the song was Spanish. But then saying that, they have English song titles sometimes and there's no English in it. So yeah. The meaning of this, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. It was featuring Kollegah. So it's about how cool they are, drugs and violence, but nothing, for me, I couldn't find like a real specific meaning of the song as such. The line I took from it, see, I'm not sure who sung this line, but I've got a feeling. So he said, Gelbe Lamborghini, big boss auf dem Nummernschild. Yellow Lamborghini, big boss on the license plate. So I'm guessing that was one of Kollegah's lines on there, big boss, although I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, unexpected Spanish lyrics. And the song was okay. Wasn't my favorite, but it was okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this was a really interesting one. So showing the title, I knew it wasn't German, but I didn't think I actually thought it was French at first. And then when it came on, really Spanish sounding, picked up that straight away. And out of all the songs on this album, if you had to try and pick which is the one with Kollegah, which is the Kollegah one, this will probably be the last one I would have picked, without looking too much in the lyrics, referring to the boss and other bits there. But just from the tune side of things, wouldn't expect that at all, really. So I thought that was really interesting. So there was a line, as I wrote about the Lamborghini one, but there's a line that also in there, the boss is like straw. Now, I don't know who was singing that, because again, we never mentioned the start, but they both sound quite similar.
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell the difference, not just in songs, in other songs, it could have been Kollegah songs as well. So the boss is like straw. Now, I don't know if that's a compliment, and if it is, was Genetikk saying that about the boss in that way, or was the boss saying about himself in reference to straw? I can't imagine Kollegah referring to himself as something like straw, just, again, unless there's a totally different meaning in German translation. So yeah, really got my mind thinking a lot on that there. And then the line I've taken here is, my album makes me famous, but the street makes me rich. Kind of always, yeah. And again, the trouble is, I don't know if that's Kollegah singing that, which it does seem quite Kollegah-like, or if there's Genetikk, or not Genetikk, sorry, Kappa, or yes, Kappa, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably expect it to probably be Genetikk, because it's their album. If that makes, whereas Kollegah's a guest on the album. But
yeah, so it's hard to know which bit was which, but yeah, either way, makes you think.
Okay, next one was Gift. So the meaning of this was sort of like the troubles of combining and living with rap and money. So this was interesting because it was talking about women, but as my understanding, after sort of reading the lyrics the second time, I don't actually think it was about women, was it? I mean, again, you can tell me in a moment, but it was just using like women as the, what's the word, like as the example type thing.
Analogy.
Actually, what's the word?
Like an analogy.
Yeah, that's the word. I kept forgetting that word. An analogy, yeah, of women, but it was actually really about rap and money. So really found that interesting. The line I took from that was Rap ist meine Braut, doch meine Schlampe ist das Cash. Rap is my bride, but my bitch is the cash. Really clever. As for the song itself, it wasn't a bad tune. I enjoyed the English parts, like Money on My Mind. One for the money and two for the show. You're not a bad song, this one. I quite liked it. Took it quite well, this one.
Yeah, really nice tune to this one. It's a very listenable, and again, I think it was hard to know sort of the deep meaning to it. I said it's hard because it does seem it goes quite deep in areas, and when I first picked up the word bitch kind of a few times, well, it's going to be maybe quite derogative to women and stuff, but it sort of was, but also wasn't. I said it was sort of, like I said, like an analogy or comparing or what was going on there. So I said really interested to try and really delve more into what is there. The sort of line I picked up was about sort of how so much money, blood being made, how much money and blood makes in the world is a drop. How much is a drop of oil? Which I thought again was right at the start, really interesting analogy in terms of what they're trying to put across there.
Mm-hmm. The next one was plastic. Very different sort of meaning. No violence, no drugs, no bad words, etc. Lots of comparisons with things. So sort of like, I suppose the question I've posed here is, in terms of the meaning, it's like, is everything in life fake? Is that what it's about? So the line I took here is, Eure Welt ist Plastik, alles falsch, alles Fassade. So your world is plastic, everything is wrong, everything is a facade, or facade, how do you say it? Background music was quite nice, quite enjoyed it. Had a sort of 80s sounding feel to it, I thought. The rap itself wasn't bad either. Wasn't a bad track for me, this one.
Yeah, so this is a song that I would have potentially put on my playlist. There's a lot to really like from this one. The tune, again, I get the 80s thing, up a sort of a dancing electric kind of feel to it. Real sort of deep meaning to it. I said it's not about guns, but it's like so much I could probably take from it, really. And the lyric I wrote was the same one that you did. I can't remember if that was actually sort of the main chorus. Yeah, your world being like plastic, everything is that's like it's disguised or not quite as it should be. Yeah, I felt like I could have listened to this one a couple of times, really. It wasn't too long, lots of like from it. Yeah, so it would be the one that potentially would go on my playlist.
Yeah, so what did you understand from the meaning of this?
Yeah, just how the world has changed, and it's almost like a social media type thing where you can't always trust everything that you can see. It's not the same as it probably used to be, kind of thing. It's almost like saying, it's all like the older days were probably a lot better. Now it's all about images, all about not what are the important things in life are, really. Okay. That's what I think it was trying to get towards.
The next one was Represent. Yeah, this one was lots of drug talk, but no real meaning for me. So unless Brett can fill us in a bit later in a moment with what it was about. The line I took here was, Entweder werd ich reich oder ich sterb bei dem Versuch. So either I'll get rich or I'll die trying. So I like that line because that's from 50 Cent. So that kind of took my attention there. This was more of a sort of typical hip hop track certainly compared to Plastic, and I wasn't overly keen on this one, to be honest.
yeah, we sort of got away from the plastic, now back to original sort of hip hop style. Again, we hear very hip hop, very American. Kind of forget there's this sort of German style here, so you kind of forget that there. It wasn't my overall favorite either, but again, it wasn't also the worst. The line I took from this is German rap is the plantation. I grow my skunk.
Okay. The next one was Lieb's oder lass es, which means love it or leave it. This was about sort of the good innocent life as a young child at school. So kind of thinking back to his childhood. And the line I took was, Ich wollte die Welt erobern in mein Pampers in extra large. So I wanted to conquer the world in my Pampers in extra large. So I don't think it's a literal kind of meaning like when he was actually wearing Pampers, he wanted to kind of be popular and famous. I just think it means like when he was younger, as a child growing up. So I did like that, you know, kind of wanted to be successful even when he was a young child.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, you want to say something?
No, go on, carry on.
So I really like the background choir. The first time I listened to it, I didn't know kind of what the meaning was. I think I read the lyrics afterwards. I was really enjoying this track, really enjoyed it. And for me, it's the best track on the album. I just thought the whole thing worked well together. The chorus was really good, short and sweet, wasn't a very long song. And this is the song that I've decided to put onto my playlist.
Okay. Yeah, so you feel like how I feel with Plastic, and I did put there was similarities to this as to Plastic as well. Like sort of kind of these deep lyrics and what they were trying to do represent. Again, I wouldn't know exactly where it's going, but I've got the same thing, you know, about childhood, and it's almost like because obviously it was featuring an artist Cedo, so apologies for pronouncing it the wrong way, and whether they were actually friends younger and if they fell out, or was it about a friend who had died or passed away. So again, it was really hard to really find out the precise what was going on there. But yeah, I did write the same line about wearing extra large Pampers. But yeah, really good song. Definitely the type of preferred songs on the albums.
Yeah. So I think there's like what's the word? Like basically what I'm trying to say is probably the same for you as well. I think we kind of prefer the more songy type tracks rather than the kind of more hardcore hip hop, I would say. The next one then was Alles Möglich, so kind of everything imaginable, or kind of everything's possible. So it was about family problems growing up, a difficult upbringing. It was pretty deep shit. That's what I put here. It was really deep. I'd love to know, is this true? I can certainly imagine it being true. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Was it exaggerated, or is it just like a persona, or what? So if anyone does know, I'm sure we've got some people that know a lot about Genetikk, then let us know. The line I took here was, dass mein Cousin, der fast wie ein großer Bruder war, mit gerade mal 20 Jahren qualvoll an seinem Tumor starb. So that my cousin, who was almost like a big brother, died in agony from his tumor at just 20 years old. I mean, like I say, that is pretty deep shit. I mean, some of the stuff that's going, some of the lyrics here, really sort of quite emotional. I'll say it was an unexpected start with the instrumentals, and it just sort of turned into normal rap. I describe it as a sort of quite calm, relaxed style of rap. It was okay.
Yeah, listen, I really can't say any more than what you said there. Really liked the start, and then went into sort of a hip hop style, which at the end did feel a little bit repetitive. Really deep song. I got illusion, I think, and again, I could be wrong. I think probably a lot of it is probably true. I think it's about like that, and it's weird. You wouldn't say that someone would have a persona of that or try and. But again, as I said, maybe it's been elaborated a bit more to make more emphasis on the song. I don't know, but from what I gave for the way it's spoken about in other songs, I think it's probably true. Or wouldn't surprise me that is true. yeah, sort of more relaxed feel with rapping stuff. Really did. But again, it didn't take too many looks. I think it's one of those it wouldn't do. You need to have the whole sort of song with that there. So yeah.
Okay, the next one was Du bist weg, you're gone. Yet again, another really deep songs, deep meaning here. So a sad rap about his baby that died. No drugs, no violence, or anything like that. It's all about sort of the baby. I'm guessing it's baby that died during birth, getting that kind of feel to it, rather than sort of died when it was 4 or 5 years old. But I might be wrong. So the line I took from here was, Ich hab hier unten nur noch bisschen was suchen. I've only got a little more work to do down here. And then it goes on to say, like, before I come and see you up in heaven. So
yeah, I think I'll finish because I wrote it down here. I'll just finish off. But as soon as I'm done, I'll come and everything will be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that line. So I listened to this before reading the lyrics. So at the time, I wrote down slow rap, don't like it. The chorus is bad. It's a little kind of too chill for me. It was too kind of slow, relaxed. And then I had the na 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 ending. But of course, at that point, I didn't know what it was about. So now that I understand the meaning, of course, it's going to be a slow rap. It's not going to be hardcore hip hop when the meaning is about a dead child. You know, it had to be like that. So it makes total sense. So even though I didn't particularly like the sound of it, it has to be in that style. It just has to be. So yeah, a very sort of emotional song for me, that one.
Yeah, again, I don't think I can really add too much. You pretty much said everything I was probably going to say there as well. So I'd probably add is that, yeah, you could maybe argue it could be done faster if he's talking more in an angry way. But it's almost like this has been he's accepted this and reflecting, and you know, things will be, and yeah, real emotional. But again, it wasn't blatantly obvious. It's done in a sort of poetic sort of way. It kind of reminds me, and I think this is probably something you would refer to, Lee, the band Flipside, when he's got his song "Happy Birthday."
Happy Birthday, yeah.
I got a lot of similarities to sort of that, really. So yeah, again, totally different song to have on here, but it kind of works and got a lot of meaning from it, really.
Okay. The next one was Strawberry Fields. Love the name of this song, by the way. It's a brilliant name. You can sort of imagine, you know, fields, strawberry fields. Yeah, the meaning of it. So I guess, as I understood, it was about sort of people trying to be friends with him after he'd become famous. So trying to sort of use him and maybe take it, you know, use him for, oh, I want to be friends with you, you're famous. But it just kind of shows how much hate and resentment he's got, as what I mentioned, like at the beginning of this review. He just seems to despise those people. What I never quite understood, what exactly are strawberry fields? As I understand it, it's some kind of peace. Is he talking about death, that he wants to die even, or is he just trying to say he wants to be away from everything in some sort of quiet place? Now, that's what I didn't quite manage to understand, but maybe Brett can give us his opinion in a moment. The line I took was, Ihr kommt als Neid und Überheblichkeit, aber ich begegne euch mit Hass, mit purem Hass. So you come from envy and arrogance, but I meet you with hatred, with pure hatred, which kind of backs up my point about his issues. Song itself, interesting title, as I said. Wasn't overly keen on it, but I did like the speaking part towards the end, and I like the bit where he rapped about strawberry fields. So Brett, what's your take on it?
Okay, so unfortunately, I went a little bit off piece with this one, but hopefully, because again, I don't think there's much more I can say than you said on that one there. So this is another Beatles reference. So the Beatles have got a song, Strawberry Fields Forever, which John Lennon wrote. Now, most people think Strawberry Fields, when John Lennon did, it was all about drugs. Again, it's in that stage, psychedelic. It's some sort of drugs reference with it there. However, the truth is, Strawberry Fields was the name of a sort of child's home, or I think the term was a Salvation Army home, which was at the back of where John Lennon lived, and him and his friend used to play outside of the Salvation Centre, which was called Strawberry Fields. So when I first saw the title of this song, I thought maybe it was taken down the drugs routes. And then it wasn't until I saw the lyrics and all this talk about with friends and resentment and anger, whether maybe he has looked at the deeper meaning of the John Lennon song and sort of taken that thing, back in his youth, when you're a child and you just be friends for being friends, not having a purpose to be someone's friend for the wrong reason, if that makes sense. So whether, as I said, I'm thinking way too deep, then it probably needs to be there, but that's sort of what I end up taking from it there, really.
Okay. The next one was Über alles. I knew the meaning of this. It's a very kind of well-known thing. You have historically Deutschland über alles, so above everyone, sort of almost like better than anyone or anything. It's basically what it means, and that's what it was about. They were just sort of bragging about how wonderful they are. The line I took was, "Wer ist underground und Mainstream zugleich?" So talk about themselves, who is underground and mainstream at the same time. So that's interesting that they consider themselves in that way, that they are underground, but they're mainstream as well. Proper hip hop feel to this one. I thought the background music was plain and repetitive, and I'll be honest, I didn't like this one.
Okay. So when I was listening to it, it felt a bit darker. I sort of put there. But one thing I'd say with some of the other ones as well, but especially this one, there was almost distinctive chorus I could sort of pick up without knowing German. And even though Kollegah also had choruses, I couldn't pick them as well. But this one, I generally could. And again, really sort of interesting with the lyrics and everything there. I think one sort of put here, not that impressive, just there's a lot of questions. But I was like, who infects German rap with evil? So I wonder who they actually are talking about in that one there. Who is overly cool and sleeps with the lions? If your kick flows in a strip club, quench your clench your addiction there. And something about chinos, which I had to look. Kitso. So it's meant to be a term in sort of reference to schizophrenia. So, which is interesting because I suppose we do have the term in English where we say you're a bit schizo, but obviously it's more because obviously it's generally a German word. It's a Greek word, but it's a German physicist who sort of who introduced the word into German for it to be more sort of around there. So I just again went a bit off piece. I said this now made me think a lot more deeper into things and how things would be influenced there. So yeah, I was just wondering who they were actually referring to in this song, whether it's the admin themselves or someone else they like or dislike.
Okay, interesting stuff. So the next one was Kappa Alpha Rho. So the meaning, didn't really understand it, to be honest. It's kind of about how they are better rappers than others, perhaps. The line I took was, "Ihr glaubt, ihr macht Rap, aber was ihr macht ist leider schwul." You think you do rap, but unfortunately what you do is gay. So yeah, I then looked at that word schwul, and yeah, it's like a kind of colloquial word for saying that someone's gay, like homosexual. So more of a song, this one, in parts, not the whole way through, but some song did break out. unlike in the previous track, for example, which was just like proper kind of hip hop. I thought the background music was plain, but this track did offer a bit more variety in terms of a mixture of rap and song, and it was a short song, a short track as well. So yeah, it was okay in parts as well.
Yeah, so I put here where I've just listed it, very short. Actually, really quite liked it. I think overall, I think this may be my favourite sort of song tune out of all the songs. But again, maybe it was more fresh in my mind at the time. If I maybe to listen through, maybe I would look more into that. But at the time, yeah, I said this was my favourite song. I picked up the word bitch coming up a few times of that there. And again, really sort of interesting in terms of the lyrics, because obviously the title, Kappa, is obviously the singer in Genetikk, and again, how much is he talking about himself, other people, or what's he referring to? The line I put here, it wasn't too much of a great one, but I just thought it was interesting. Bills over sluts, brothers over bills. So he's got all his priorities, and a nice simple line, so you know exactly where he stands. And I said with the track before, where I was talking about, you know, he's talking about people in strip clubs and country fair. He obviously has a different take on that and sees that sort of thing in a totally different way to other people would. So yeah, interesting.
So that brings us on to the last track, which is the outro. It's about saying goodbye, which makes sense because it's an outro. But to me, it sounded more like he was saying goodbye to life rather than goodbye temporarily because the album's finishing.
Oh, okay. Hold that thought, because it's funny. I've written around here. I thought he was actually saying goodbye to love, rather than to love. Interesting enough, yeah.
Okay. The line I took was "Flieg so weit, bis ich die Erde nicht mehr sehe." So fly so far until I can no longer see the earth. So he kind of just wants to get away from it, get away from Earth. Just had enough. Depressed, hates people, that kind of thing. As for the song, nice unexpected song part in here. There's a nice, bit where there was some singing involved, and I thought it was quite a nice ending to the album. So it's one of the better songs on the album for me, this one.
So again, when I first listened to that, I put here sort of a kind of 80s feel to it. And you can I even wrote here before we know much about it, like space and galaxy and shooting star sounds, which was really interesting. Obviously, when I heard back again, the orchestra music as well, as you said, a really nice sort of album end to it, nice, relaxed, good tempo to it. And again, very unusual for a hip hop rap album. And again, especially when I said when you see the front cover, you see what they look like, very different, interesting there. And as I said, I thought maybe he was saying goodbye to a love, but I can also see how it could be saying goodbye to life as well. I go home even if I don't want to go. I'm going home even if I don't know where home is or where to, I go home even if I don't know where to go. So almost saying I don't know where home is. Further than I've been, a lot further than the moon. So again, this whole sort of space feel to it as well, which again I find really unusual for a hip hop sort of album. So totally different take on it, and nice way to sort of end the album in those regards.
So guys, that's the end of the album. So now to the bit you've all been waiting for. Is Kollegah better or worse than Genetikk? I'm gonna have to say I can't really say one's better than the other. I don't think that's fair to say because they're both good in their own way. They're both obviously very, very talented. I know it was a little bit different as well. Like with Kollegah, he's on his own, whereas Genetikk, there's two of them, right?
I think it's two of them. Yeah, don't hold me to it. I know there's Kappa and I've forgotten another guy's name now. Apologies to it. So I think there's two main guys.
Yeah, I'm not going to say which one's better. It's not the right. That's the name of the title, but you're not going to get an answer from me for that because I don't think there is an answer. But what I would say, I think, I from what I've heard of Kollegah and what I've heard of Genetikk, I would say I enjoyed Genetikk more. let me explain why. Firstly, there's a little bit more variation, as I said earlier, in the style of music. There is some kind of more songy parts rather than just pure sort of rap. Plus, of course, there was the one song that I liked that I decided to put to my playlist to download. I prefer, I would say, the lyrics as well. If we don't understand them, I know that we can still read the translation. I think with like Kollegah, the lyrics just very sort of drug, violence heavy. Apart from that one song in the previous album where it was about love. Whereas I think with Genetikk, there's a bit more to them. They really go into great detail about different aspects of life, and you know, they can show their feelings a little bit more. So yeah, that's probably why I'd say I prefer, at least based on this album, Genetikk over Kollegah. I hope I haven't upset any big Kollegah fans, but you know, I think you appreciate our honesty. That's what we get in the comment section. So yeah, that's my take on it. And the album itself was interesting, enjoyable, I would say. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that at the start, because originally I was thinking that, you know, these are the same comparable. Really, as you get into it, they are so different. And I think, you know, maybe past Brett and Lee would probably think, you know, hip hop, rap, German hip hop, rap, it's all going to be the same. But they are very, very different. And unfortunately, I think, like you, I'm slightly more swayed to Genetikk, and the album I listened to. The deep meaning, a bit sort of variation to that. But again, it doesn't take away from Kollegah. And like I said, when I was listening to it, you can appreciate how good a rapper is, and his is about those lyrics. I know we started looking at the translation, but again, I think you have to really, you know, see him here and do it. And even though I said I don't like listening to about crime, violence, especially when it's not true and stuff. It's about how I feel movies. I generally prefer sort of true movies over just guns and violence for unnecessary reasons. But at least, I think at least clearly he does put sort of clever wording, clever twists on it, and phrases to make it sort of listenable and not make it funnier or make it less violent, but just to put a different taste on it there. But I said, you know, it's so that deeper meaning, and be able to look into lyrics and see what they're trying to do, but sort of the variation with that there. So I said, boy, if I had to pick one or two albums, it would be Genetikk, but there's a lot to appreciate from Kollegah, definitely the case.
I forgot to mention as well, we have to appreciate Kollegah's fast rap. That's extremely impressive. Yeah. Okay, so overall, you enjoyed the album.
Yeah, I did. Again, it'd be interesting when I sort of listened to it, because I obviously listened to it once and then did it again whilst seeing the lyrics. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to sort of listen again, and especially if, you know, understand more definitely some of the meaning of songs that we were unsure about. But yeah, I think as a whole, I think it definitely is a listenable album, even though they've got the same language barrier difference there. But once you've got a gist and idea of it, you can sort of take it on as you're listening to it, I suppose.
Yeah. So guys, that's all from us today. Let us know what you thought of our review in the comment section. Anything that you agreed with us, anything you disagreed with, any comments you want to give about more information about Genetikk, any requests you have for any further album reviews, things like that. We'll be glad to hear from you. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next one. Take care.